Today, in a Squarelell universe, the miter saw moves. I organize pieces of wood, and I put them on a dado saw. Hey, it's that dork again, with the cool sweater. Hey, so all that's happening here, I'm explaining that those offcuts you had, I hope you kept them and put your name on them so you didn't lose them. We are going back to the table saw. Please note, look at that nice guard on there. That's what you should have on the saw when you use it. You're going to cut those three pieces again to 2 3/4, and those are going to be your stretchers. So talk amongst yourselves at this point, I guess. Who keeps inviting this guy? Now we have to cut them to length. That's all we're saying. I think what the gentleman is suggesting is that we change the saw from 0 degrees, oh man, to 5 degrees. That 5 degrees is everywhere. It's important to note on these stretchers we are no longer cutting parallelograms like we did the legs. It is 5 degrees on one end that we're trimming right here, and it's going to be a square cut, or 90 degrees on the opposite end. So right here, we're measuring from the long end of the 5 degree miter to the end of the square end. And now, oh look at that, back to 0 degrees. And now we're going to set up, yippers, another stop block. So I lined it up and then set up my stop block. And I know you are not going to believe it, but things don't always work exactly as you planned. When I measured that, I was a little bit long, so I'm using my super fine adjustment tool there, and just now we're going to trim it to the actual size. Hopefully it goes well. Survey says perfect. So now we can just cut the other two. And now we have our 3 legs, we have 3 stretchers, and we have 3 pieces of waste. Those 3 pieces of waste are going to be important when we set up the saw for the next part, which is cutting all the joinery. Bring the 3 sets of pieces back with you to the table saw. Nope, the dado saw. That big red thing there, that's the main power. Turn that off if you're going to change the blade. It needs to be 3/4 inches wide. So that's what's happening. Hey, do you remember the time that I said you needed to keep those pieces of waste because they're going to be important later? Those 3 pieces of waste are going to be important when we set up the saw for the next part, which is cutting all the joinery. Now's that time. The only thing you're going to need to do is to set up the height. Now, the height should be marked right in the middle, and you want to take out half of the height from the leg and the other half from the stretcher. So make a pass on the end of 2 pieces and bring the 2 pieces together to see how you did for setting up the height. And I didn't do well, so I need to make the blade a little higher. Now, Jimmy, can we stop it again? So do you see how there's a difference in height there? What you have to do is take half of that width out with every turn. In other words, turn the handle to raise the blade just a little bit. And then cut both pieces again. And then test them again. And then it'll be perfect at some point. And then cut a leg. And then this got annoying, so I'll stop. But really what you should do is just cut the half flap. The end block there on the right as you're using the sled is where you put the end of the leg against. And then make a couple passes. It looks like that. Next up is the stretcher, and you'll notice right there if you put it in upside down or backwards, however you want to call it, it won't meet up with that block on the right, so don't do that. And then, gosh, did you hear? I didn't even mean to do that. I'm so sorry. Anywho, I'm gonna stop talking. Side note, you will get sawdust all over you. More concentrated on the right, so maybe don't wear all your fancy pants clothes this day. Okay, I'm coming. And we'll see what this sled does next time. Au revoir!